Can I induce you to stay for the postgraduate lecture here? Thanks. Tonight I've chosen 3 topics for discussion. First, card control, what happens when cards are shuffled and cut. Then I'm going to talk a little about false dealing. You've heard the term dealing from the bottom of the deck probably. I'm going to discuss that. Then maybe end up with a demonstration of card stacking. But first, can cards be controlled? Well, yes. So I'm going to demonstrate how this actually might look. This is very strange. This is really a gambler's exercise. It's something that's distinctly non-theatrical in tone, but I hope you'd find it intriguing. So what I'm going to do, and again, these gentlemen are close by, they can see that I'm putting aces in the center of groups of cards at random, and then they are, at least for this second, out of my control. And what does that mean? It means it's an exercise in isolation, so there are many cards in between each ace, and yet when I push them into the deck, I don't leave them protruding by a 1/16 of an inch or a 32nd of an inch. At least for the moment, the aces are out of my control. I mean, they're squared, and they're in the center. They're not sticking out. How do I get them back in my control? Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I get them in my control by shuffling. How do I shuffle the cards? Well, this is a complex issue. If I were a cheat, I would want to shuffle the cards in a way so I did not seem more clever or less clever than anyone else in the game. Let's say we were playing gin in Miami Beach, and people shuffled in the old-fashioned way like this, then that's the way I would want to shuffle cards. If we were in a rather elegant New York bridge parlor, you might see someone shuffle the cards in this way and then do a little bridge afterwards. That's what that's called, a little flourish. But it's a simple riffle shuffle. If you're in Las Vegas, you wouldn't be allowed to shuffle cards like that. A pit boss would actually say to you, you must shuffle cards with them flat on the surface of the table. Why? They're afraid that if you put the cards in your hand, I could glimpse them or you could glimpse them. So this way, it's much more procedurally cautious for them. You would actually shuffle the cards like that. Then I'm sure you've all been to private games where people turn half the cards over and talk about, you know, Anaconda, pass the garbage, Alaskan poker. And in this case, they're literally shuffling face-up cards into face-down cards like this, leaving a distinct mess of cards from various positions. Well, what does a cheat do? Well, I can't speak for everyone, but I can tell you I've done this long enough that I can make 3 statements of absolute fact about the condition of the cards at this very moment. The first statement is, even though the aces were widely separated after all that shuffling, they are now together, one next to the other. The second statement is they're in the dead center of the deck. The third statement is, to make it easier for you to see them, I've straightened out every other card, so only the 4 aces are face up in the center. So that's an example of card control, albeit a flamboyant example, but nevertheless. So how do you deal with this in a real situation? Let's say we're in Miami Beach. We give an overhand shuffle. We're now going to play some gin rummy. And now this should look serious and above board. 2 hands of 10-card gin. Turn over a knock card. Do you play a little gin? Good. What I've tried to do is deal my opponent a solid gin hand, but more than 30 unmatched points. So take a look with me and see if we've been successful. And you can see that there's a meld here and a meld here, but 2 kings and a 10 and a 3. That would be 33 unmatched points. I know this is a little technical for some of you. If you don't play gin, by the way, this is gin. That's the 9, 8, 7 of diamonds, 5, 5, 5, 5, and the 8, 7, 6 of spades. I win. So, let's try some 21. I'm sure you play a little blackjack. Now, remember, if we're going to play 21, you're going to see me shuffling like you would in a Vegas casino. You'd see these strip cuts. I'm going to be like the house, which means I'm going to stand on 17 but hit on 16. You can make any choice you want. I'll even show you what I have.
I'll stand.
You're going to stand? Okay. You have 18. I have 16, so I have to draw. So I'd be looking for a... well, 5 would make 21. Just like Vegas, huh? So that's 21. Sorry. Let's try another one. You could split on 5s, but it's much better to double down if you happen to have a pair of 5s, Larry. So, so that'd be 17 for you. And I won't get 21 every time. I have 8 and 5, or 13 and 6 would be 19, enough to eke out a minor victory. Try one more over here. Oh, I'm sorry, I gave you 3. Well, some casinos let you double down on a 3-card 11.
Oh, I'll double down.
Yeah, that's not a bad bet. So let's see, that's 17 again, and I have 10 and 4, 14, so I'd have to draw...
Bust.
Oh, grow up. 21. So, I'm sorry to do this here. They always tell you they're sorry in Vegas, too. I know. Now, look, if these cards aren't marked, and I tell you they're not, I mean, I don't know if you're going to believe me, but they're not, how does somebody do this? I think there are two things at play here. One is I have a very good memory, and the other is I kind of know what happens when cards are shuffled. Well, what does this mean? It means while we were playing gin, while we were playing 21, I was trying to remember where the aces were and leave them at various portions of the deck where I could find them. That's 2, 31 down, 3, and if I can go left-handed, let's see, that's 4. That's card control. We'll move on to the second phase here.